more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
There we go. Now we're working. It is Tuesday. No, it's Wednesday. Look at me. Look at me. I'm all messed up. It's your fault, Frankie Fresco. Tuesday night was the greatest night in pro wrestling in a long time. It is Wednesday night. It is 8 p.m. It is the Squared Circle Digest. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Hashtag everything SCD live, because we are live talking some pro wrestling. What's going on, Mr. Fresco?
What's going on, guys? What's going on, Sean? The chat. Blessed to be here with you. Blessed to be here with the chat. I see people coming in on a Wednesday. Wednesday?
It's a wild Wednesday, baby. Wild Wednesday. Nothing else to do on Wednesday today.
I know. I feel so
watch
lost.
Baseball playoffs.
I'm watching FIU.
They even put the Panthers Thursday. I mean, my goodness, opening puck drops, and we don't play till Thursday. What is going on?
It feels so different not having Dynamite on a Wednesday. Boy, we had a hell of a Tuesday, man. What a Tuesday for us wrestling fans.
Yeah, we did.
It was really, really good. Really, really
And in
good.
the chat already, no doubt, of course, Stephen Gonzalez, EWD Jr., Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, and Stephen Gonzalez was the first one in.
Steven
said, yeah, baby, it's time to digest some Squared Circle. What up, guys? Let's do it. Daniel Berry said, hey, we're going live. Good Wednesday, y'all, from No Doubt. EWD Jr., good evening, Sean and Frankie. And then No Doubt asks, did anyone else see TK on Levitard yesterday? They were really pressing for info on the CM Punk incident. TK is a master deflector. He is. He's a good businessman. Steven Gonzalez with you here, we here, Frankie.
I don't understand why Steven is putting the puke. Maybe it's because he sees our third member of the podcast, CM Punk, sitting here strong.
He's waiting for CM Dump to join us. See him Dump join us.
Guy.
Daniel Marquez is in. He says, "What's up? What's up? What's up?"
Or if CM Punk is your daddy, that one's a good one too.
Yeah,
coming around.
Yeah. That's probably the only time you're going to see CM Punk mentioned. So, all right, man. Where do we want to start, bro? Like, I mean, we got Big Nick in now. Continued advancing storylines from the main roster to NXT.
I love the picture, Big Nick. Where do
you got the AEW on there, so I guess we can go.
Man, we got a lot of people in the chat. Thank you, guys. Come on and keep coming in, and make sure you share hashtag SCD Live on X. That way people can know that we're on. Sean, let's start with what everybody was talking about. NXT versus AEW last night. That's the best thing to talk about, right? Let's just dive in.
I mean, I to be honest, man, I mean, I was going to ask you, who was the winner, who was the loser. To me, the fans were the winners, man. I mean, you got two good shows, two great shows, honestly, man. And each one stuck to their guns. By that, I mean, WWE made it bigger than, the production was huge. It was Cena, it was Undertaker, it was sports entertainment. But AEW said, okay, well, then we're going to go to what we do best, in-ring action. And they had some great in-ring action. Both shows had some hiccups, but overall, I thought it was a great night of wrestling to me, and it reminded me back to the Monday Night Wars, although this time I had more devices, and I was able to watch them both at the same time. And I tweeted out something like, oh, how would you rate WWE NXT? And then somebody tweeted back at me like, oh, I don't watch that. Then I tweeted out, how did you rate AEW? And he retweeted back out, and he goes, anyone who loves wrestling watched AEW Dynamite. I said, no, anyone that loves wrestling watched both shows.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to knock that guy's answer. I mean, AEW, yes, sir. But yes, both shows were very, very good, especially myself, who doesn't tune into NXT that much. I've been, keeping an eye on it here and there, but yesterday I was fully invested on both. And just like you, I had both TVs on.
You know what I laughed too is this, man. And again, if you know what the numbers were, you know what the numbers were. I'm not going to sit here and throw out numbers because to me, both shows were good. I get it, what the numbers are. But the one thing that kind of cracked me up was somebody went and said, oh, NXT's only been doing 800 the last month. And now because they threw Cena, Undertaker on, they went to 935. They're still doing 800. I mean, like, I don't understand what you honestly think. And that was with Becky, Dom, and I'm trying to think who else they might have used from the main roster. I mean, Baron's technically in NXT now, so I don't even put him as.
Well, they used to have Mustafa Ali too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but it's odd to me that you sit there and you're going to sit there and say, oh, they only got those numbers, and then in his same comment, he said because in the last 3 and 4 weeks they were only doing 800.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask chat this. Let's ask the chat. Chat. Who won last night? Was it NXT or was it AEW? Did you guys tune into one and not the other? Did you guys record one and then watch the replay? What did you guys do? I, luckily, am able to have both different ways of seeing both of them at the same time. But I will tell you this, Sean. I was lowering the volume in certain segments and raising the volume on the other one. So
I had both of them all the way up.
See, Steven was going with NXT. I will tell you this. NXT started really, really well with Cody coming out.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. The numbers show they were with NXT the whole way. The only time AEW beat NXT last night was in the 18-49 demo. And you want to know what segment it was? I'm going to give you 2 chances to just pick what segment it was, but they beat NXT one segment, 18-49 demo.
I'm gonna go with probably Swerve versus Bryan Danielson. The The Adam Copeland fight because it went longer?
Nope.
Okay, what was it?
It was the last 3 minutes of Hobbs versus Jericho going into Roderick Strong, Adam Cole.
Oh wow! And that they're doing a really good job.
Was the one, and again in 18 and 49 that beat NXT, and then NXT went back up and stayed above them.
What? Look, Cody Rhodes coming out. He comes out. He says that he's the GM for the night. He says that there's going to be a fight.
He announced the tournaments that they always have. Is what
correct.
He did. Then he said, "I'm going to be GM for the night."
Correct. Then you have what? Dragunov coming out.
Yeah, Dragunov comes out. Yep.
And then you had Dom come out, and then he drops the bomb that LA Knight is the guest referee. So did you see the line of people that were trying to get into NXT? That they posted up on social media, and you could see a huge line, and there was a lot. I was informed and told and seen that there was a lot of people that were actually unfortunate enough that able to make it up.
And then the other thing that was bad is a lot of your normal NXT weren't there.
As far as like what, the crowd, or are you talking about
the normal like guys that are there when it's not, Cena, Undertaker? People slept overnight.
Yes.
Outside there to get into that building.
Yeah.
So a lot of the NXT, normals, I guess you want to call them. I don't know what you want to call them, but the ones that usually attend and are there, a lot of them didn't get into the building last night.
That is correct. And it kind of sucks because I would have thought they maybe could have given priority to those people. They're the ones who are loyal.
Yeah, but again, this building, there's not a lot of people there, man. There's not.
Oh, I know.
That's what was so funny. Like when you heard Cena's music hit, it's like, I tweeted out, I was like, wow, it just hits different in NXT. It's like, it sounds big, don't get me wrong, because it's the Cena sound theme, but it was like, it's not the same. But then they started singing the song, which made it better than the Cena sucks normally, what you get for the WWE.
Wait, you had that random ass guy say Cena sucks. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think you had one guy, and then when they brought out, Braun Breaker, then they did the Braun, and then Cena was like, oh, it's so much better on this side.
Okay, so check this out though. So you had that Cody segment, big pop at the beginning, and then on the AEW side, you had Christian starting it off.
I don't understand what that was.
Lame. I mean, granted, I love Christian. I think he's doing a phenomenal job as a heel in AEW. I think he's actually kind of like brought his career back in AEW. He's doing a really good job over there, but it was kind of lame. It wasn't what I wanted them to start off with, but they delivered when it comes to the first fight. You got Swerve versus Bryan Danielson. I thought that was a really good fight to lead AEW Dynamite. I think that they did a really good job.
Good fight to start it. There's some things when you look back at it, and could you have done more with the Adam Copeland first match on Dynamite than Luchasaurus?
They could have, but the thing is, they are trying to keep it all with the Christian story, so they have to kind of relate it all.
You have put it as, you could have booked it as Christian against Edge. Maybe you would have got more people to tune in that way, and then have Christian chicken out at the end and put Luchasaurus against him instead of announcing.
It's not a bad idea.
Edge
Sir Adam Copeland,
Adam Copeland, whatever. But to me, it's like Adam Copeland. I'm just saying the Radar Superstar against Luchasaurus. I mean, what's going to happen there, right? You would hope that you would. Copeland's not losing that first night there. Like,
I like the mystery. I like the suspense of you saying, "Hey, we're gonna put them both on," and then that happens. But I mean,
it would have been more eyes, because again, they and the other thing I agree with and I disagree with is they sent the Suzuki and Kingston fight to their YouTube channel.
I was a little bit.
What they should have done was, this is, again, I don't know how good they are with TBS and everything else, is why not let them start 10 minutes early? Start at with that match in the ring or whatever you want to do. Now you're already there and people are already in your channel.
Wait, or
you had them go to YouTube and then they had to go to your channel, which gave them time to go to USA as well.
Or you could have
42,000. When I tuned into the YouTube part, 42,800 were watching.
Because Suzuki delivers, man. I'll never forget when I went to the AEW here in Miami, and it was Suzuki versus Bryan Danielson. That fight was one of the best fights.
Oh, he's good. He's a very hard, tough nose.
He delivered. What they could have done, and I know they were promoting this whole championship stuff and all that stuff. I think what they could have also done is maybe shorten some of the fights. Like, for example, that Jay White versus Hangman Page. I mean, been there, done that, seen that. I think they could have shortened that, even though I got something to talk about that segment. And that's one of the controversial stuff that we are definitely going to talk. And we want to get your opinion, guys, because that's controversial.
It's odd right now that he did that. It is. I'm telling you now.
But let's jump again. So you got Cody, you got that. Then you got Asuka versus Roxanne in the NXT world, right? In the NXT side. Did you watch that fight?
Yeah.
I was okay watching it, but I didn't tune into it. So I pushed that to the side and I started watching the AEW side, which at that time was obviously the Hobbs versus the Jericho side. Yeah. It kind of like mixed half and half. Mm-hmm. That fight went really, really quick. And I don't understand why they went with Chris Jericho losing so quickly. Is he injured, or what type of storyline are they trying to do here? Because later on, you see that they were pushing Jericho, saying, oh, he's really hurt. He went to the hospital. And then you also had Daniel Garcia come out and try to check on him.
It's more to build Hobbs to be the... Again, I believe AEW has booked Hobbs wrong so bad that now they've got to kind of revamp him in this role as the monster. Like, you have to make him the muscle. I mean, the dude's a beast. Why are you not using him more as a beast? And then now you put him in with the Don Callis. I mean, you can't have Chris Jericho beat him the first night he's with Don Callis and them.
I like that they put him in Don Callis. I thought that was a good, smart move. And I like the fact that they put him against Jericho. Put him against the big people. I don't want to see him against Wardlow, even though we're going to talk about Wardlow. But I'm glad that they did that they went ahead and they're pushing him in a different way.
And then also, I think it's ultimately going to be a thing where Jericho gets beat down. Oh, I'm near the end of my rope. You know, like they do with all the veterans, right? Oh, maybe it's time for me to hang him up. Oh, no, Chris, you got one more in you. And then maybe it's going to be Kenny. I don't know who it's going to be. And I think it might end up being Daniel Garcia with the way they're kind of like, he's so like drawn, like I think Chris is going to be like, oh, it's like kind of what they claimed did with Billy Gunn recently. It was like, oh, it's time for me to hang him up. No, you got one more in you. You got it. And then, boom, it'll turn around, I believe, and then you'll start seeing, you know, more of the Jericho coming back in. Because, again, Jericho's been there and done that now. And, again, one of the things that he said he's going to do there is he's going to build up the talent, and that's what you got to do, man.
So then we move on from the Asuka Roxanne to that pub rules type of fight, I guess it was, where Butch
basically anything goes, but it had they had beer, they had all the stuff that you find in a pub. A dartboard. Butch took the dart and shoved it in the guy's hand.
I saw that. I didn't find, I don't know, did you guys like that fight? I thought it was not the greatest in my opinion.
It was the highest watched segment on NXT besides The Undertaker.
Really? That pub fight? Wow, I wasn't feeling it. But I will tell you this. I started to tune in. Why? Because here comes AEW with a heavy hit fight. Orange Cassidy taking over Moxley's position because Moxley was not able to get cleared versus Rey Fenix. Now, that fight, terrible. It was not good at all.
Well, I think Rey Fenix is really hurt. And he went out there to try to do stuff, and he couldn't do it. I mean, dude, I've seen Rey Fenix. That was not Rey Fenix, man. And I don't know if it was part of the angle that, hey, just make it look like you're hurt very badly or whatever. He couldn't go. He probably should not have been out there.
Well, I mean, at least they got it right, and they let Orange Cassidy win the belt. I mean, it was a really, really bad fight. A lot of people probably tuned out because it was just not a good fight. At that point in time, I stopped watching AEW.
You could tell Orange wasn't happy with the match either. You could tell because even when he won the title, I get it. His gimmick is, you can tell he doesn't care, and that's the whole thing with his gimmick. But you could see that, like, he was just kind of like, all right, the title's back to me now, and now let's go. Because I don't think I don't know what was expected. They didn't give him a lot of time, which I thought they would give him more time, but I don't know if maybe an audible was called and was like, hey, he can't go that long or what, but there was something there. Nothing's come out yet as far as
remember,
there's got to be something more to this.
I don't know if you saw in the dark hour, but in the dark hour, they actually had Tony Khan interviewed, and that's when Tony Khan announced that Orange Cassidy was going to take over when Orange
I watched because Hook came up with the Doritos.
Correct.
And Tony Khan told him,
and what's up with the Doritos with Hook? I don't get that.
The Dorito, buddy. That's what happens, man.
Are they promoting the Doritos? But I mean, they got to try harder because WWE and Fastlane did a hell of a job with Pizza Hut.
Maybe Hook's trying to, maybe Hook and Tony Khan trying to get that Doritos deal, so they're just like, boo-doo, boo-doo.
All right, so then now we tune out, right? And tell me, guys, if you kind of did the same thing or kind of would agree with me the way I was looking at this. So then I changed it and I said, okay, now back to NXT, and then I saw Cena with Braun Breaker. And that was the first segment that I was like, okay, we're getting here. We're getting some John Cena, the John Cena chants. Braun Breaker sucks. I thought that was really good. I was tuning into that, and then I like the fact that they brought then Cody announcing that tag team tournament or something like that. I think he's doing the 10-man tag.
Oh no, they're doing with the bada bing bada bang battle royal.
Bada bing bada bang. There you go.
Battle royal. That's right.
So they had that.
With the 10 tag teams, when one person's eliminated, one person's thrown to the top rope, the team is eliminated. The last two teams in the match then start a tag team match. The winner goes to face the family.
So I'm watching that, and then all of a sudden, let's say, okay, cool, they're talking. All right, let me go back to AEW. I go to AEW, and who do I see? I see Wardlow against Matt Sydal. Well, I haven't seen Matt Sydal in a minute. And Wardlow again. They brought him back in Collision, and then they bring him back to Dynamite. And now apparently he's doing the same gimmick, which he's doing his power bombs, but now he's not even pinning them. He's just doing so many power bombs on all his opponents that he's pretty much KOing all of them.
Yeah, the ref's calling for the match. The ref's saying, hey, you can't go on. It's over.
Now, I will say this, man. I like the fact that he is walking out the crowd. I like that. I thought that is something that could work for him.
So the other thing is, why not come through the crowd?
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I think Wardlow, the same way Hobbs is being pushed to fight Chris Jericho and is now with Don Callis' family, I think they need to push Wardlow now. They need to make him relevant again. And how is the best way to make him relevant? I know he's injured. I know he couldn't fight. But you bring in Jon Moxley to go up against Wardlow. And I'll tell you how you could spin this off. You have Wardlow. He beats the crap out of some guy and all that stuff. And as he's walking out, Jon Moxley's song plays because he's going to fight next. And then they cross paths as they're walking in and walking out. Now, I don't know how extreme you're going to do. I don't know if they're tap each other or whatnot, but Wardlow's a little bit of a loose cannon right now, so I wouldn't tap him. But definitely, you at least see Wardlow pass right by Moxley, and Moxley passes right by him. And it starts a feud between Wardlow and Moxley. I think that's something that could help Wardlow stand out, especially since they haven't been really good at using him, to be honest. What do you think?
I agree with you. I agree. I think it'd be interesting to go that route, I guess. I mean, that would make sense. The only problem I have with that is that if something happens, it doesn't happen in the ring, I guess, is my worry. And then who sees it? The crowd wise. I mean, TV wise, I'm going to watch it because it's going to be there. The camera's going to be there. But how do you get it to where it's everybody in the crowd knows what's going on? Because again, I also believe that one of the best things that was last night were both of the crowds.
Yeah,
I thought both of the crowds brought it, and whatever. It was an empty arena, whatever. I don't care. They brought it. They were loud. They were into each thing. They made things be bigger than what they were. The people that were there.
I felt that it was a very good crowd on both ends as well.
Yeah.
I think even though you say that you probably can't showcase it, at least through, social media and stuff like that, you could click
if
that
you
section.
haven't bumped into them, I think, maybe you bump into them or whatever, but when they actually go face to face, it needs to happen either if they can find, I think it's a Cincinnati arena is the one that's got the big opening where before you get to the seats. If you can do it there to where you can get a good shot and then everybody can look up kind of to see what's going on, then I think you do it
kind of like the Samoa Joe MJF. Remember when Samoa pushes MJF? Same type of concept, but this time you're doing it with Moxley and Wardlow. Yeah. All right, so that fight, whatever. Then you move on to Jay White versus Hangman, and I thought Jay White versus Hangman, that's something I already saw, man. I don't want to see it again. I know they're still trying. I know supposedly Hangman still wants to, I guess, try to get revenge on Jay White and them club, but been there, done that, man. And I think that's the problem with AEW. Sometimes their storylines, sometimes some of their stuff that they continuously want to put out, it's the same.
So they stick people against each other.
And what happens is that
I thought last night, again, you go back to the first match and I liked it being Swerve against Bryan Danielson. Okay, I understand it's great, but you just had Swerve get beat clean. And now he's supposed to be on pay-per-view against Adam Page, who also lost. It's just like, I get you're trying to put on the best matches forward, but it's like you've just kind of, to me, you kind of hurt that match. I mean, both guys are what?
Yeah. I think Swerve. I don't think it hurt that much Swerve. Hangman, I don't know. I think Hangman is in a downfall. I don't think people still like him, but he's kind of like in that Kenny Omega stage right now where they're always losing.
Yeah. I'm not saying it hurts her, but to me it hurts the match because I don't want two guys that lost. I don't want to see them fight each other. What are you fighting for?
Well, they're supposed to be fighting in the next pay-per-view, so it's a couple weeks away though.
You just lost clean.
Yeah,
it wasn't like. I mean, I guess you could technically say the Gun Club got involved with Adam Page if you want to say all that stuff. But Swerve lost clean to Bryan Danielson.
I think people will get over the Swerve situation losing to Bryan Danielson.
Of course, Mr. AEW, of course.
I think
happen on WWE TV. Oh, boy, we got problems.
All right, so we got that boring fight between Jay and Hangman. So then we switch it back, and now we're getting a heavy fight between my boy, the biggest heel in WWE, Dominic Mysterio versus Dragunov. Now, I will tell you this, and I saw the chat. I think somebody wrote it on the chat saying, Dragon needs to do a better job with his promos or whatnot. I think Dragunov should become a babyface. I think he's better as a babyface than a heel. And I know that they're going to push Carmelo Hayes, but I think
he's got the Stone Cold.
I think he's better than
he's just an in-betweener. He talks tough, and if you cheer for him, you cheer for him. If you boo him, you boo him. He's just there.
I think he's better as a babyface than a heel. I don't know. I got the vibe that he was better when he was getting cheered on than when he's getting booed. But you had that come out. That was a fight, and a lot of people must have been tuning in because, of course, that is when our boy LA Knight was presented, but he didn't get such a big pop in NXT. I kind of
did, but it's just not as loud. I mean, again, it's a very
but you saw Cena got a huge crowd was going crazy.
You have to remember, this crowd knows LA Knight. It's not like they haven't seen LA Knight before. He was there for 3 years.
True. I don't know, but again, you're reminiscing. Like, hey man, it's good to see you back. I just thought maybe LA Knight would have gotten a bigger pop. I mean, I'm not gonna say
in the crowd while he was refereeing, he was putting an arm this way, and they're saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
No, but what I mean, maybe
what else do you want? I mean,
during the fight,
people fainting and stuff. Oh my God, LA Knight! Oh.
During the fight, it was good. I'm talking about when he first came out. When he first came out, it was just like, there he is. Congratulations, welcome. I mean, you're the referee.
It's also a smaller walkway. It's not. He didn't come out even doing his thing. He just walked to the ring. He was the referee.
Oh, and I'm sorry.
That is the one thing too, is that when you're the referee, you're not supposed to take the spotlight off of the wrestlers.
Yeah, but
even if you're a special guest referee, you're not supposed to take the spotlight off of the wrestlers.
That's a good point. But it's NXT. It's a special night. It's a special moment. When do you see it? Yeah, but I mean, I agree.
Heavyweight championship.
I agree.
And you want them to be like LA Knight.
I forgot to mention something on the Asuka Roxanne fight. Shotzi made a guest appearance too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was to announce that she would be the host with Scarlett for Halloween Havoc Night 1.
Why are they bringing Shotzi to NXT? I thought she was
She
in the
hosts
main
all
roster.
the Halloween Havoc shows. She's
okay.
been the host of them for a while.
Okay, that I didn't know. Remember, I'm just starting to tune into NXT, so
Yeah.
that was interesting. All right, so then you got that fight, does really well. After that, you got Cody and Corbin. That whole segment with Cody and Corbin, whatever. Nah, I'm not a big fan of Corbin. I've never been a big fan of Corbin. I don't know why he's still in WWE, but whatever. I mean, that probably explains NXT why he's still in NXT. In the meantime, while that is going on, here comes the controversy segment between MJF and Bullet Club Gold. Now, guys, let's talk a little bit about this. Oh, and yes, I did like. We're gonna get to that because before Cody is that was Josh. That actually happens right afterwards. So after Cody and Corbin, but we're gonna jump to that. But now we got that whole segment. So if you guys haven't seen AEW, there's a controversy going on, and a lot of people were not happy. Sean, you know what's going on right now? The whole Israel situation with Palestine and all that stuff. We know that MJF is Jewish. Yeah. And before this whole war was happening, to be fair, he has mentioned about his childhood being quarters thrown to him and stuff like that. So I will say that. But for Jews to come out, take out the roll of quarters, ride Friedman on it, and put it on TV, man, I think they went a little bit too overboard on that. And I know MJF came out on social media to kind of like explain that this is his story, but it's still, even though it's his story, it's not the right time to kind of bring that up.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This kind of reminds me of the story that happened in WWE right after 9/11, a little bit after 9/11, I believe it was. Muhammad Hassan was a new character, and he was taking on the Undertaker, and all these masked men jumped the Undertaker and basically attacked him and everything else there, and then they carried him away. And it happened on a SmackDown, I want to say, which at the time I believe was on UPN 33 or one of the, like a Fox station type thing. And they got so much backlash that character ended up getting written off. Hussein got written off, and they couldn't figure out anything else to do with him after that because it ruined his career. And he went back to being a teacher. But it's one of those where you have to understand the climate that you're in. And again, this is where I go with who's there to be the filter. I mean, we talk about, let's use it with sports like we talk about now. Mario Cristobal, who's there to be like, take a knee? Who's in the ear going, I get it. MJF is Jewish. I understand what we're doing here. I understand he did the bit about the quarters, but is this the time to do this angle right here, right now? Is this the time? I don't know if they went through the checklist and kind of said, okay, yeah, let's do it. Or they just thought that, well, you know what? We're going to get talked about. So maybe we'll get more eyes on the product. Or I don't know what the thinking was. Okay. But to me, it was in bad judgment.
Tony needs to, supposedly Tony is the one who runs this, right? So he's the one who gives the okay on a lot of this stuff. So they must have ran it through him, and he must have given the okay.
And my understanding is too, and then I saw other people tweet out afterwards that MJF was okay with it.
Yeah, but it's not only MJF.
Again, that's the thing. It's like, I get it. I understand that, and I get it that he's Jew, but it's like you have to understand the temperature of what's going on around you. It's not just AEW bubble. There's other stuff. I mean, there's people that are getting freaking social media posts and finding out their grandparents are dead. I mean, you have to understand that, like, there's more to this than just being an angle.
Correct.
for 1 week. You're telling me they couldn't have just cut it early and not done the quarters there and then been like, hey, let's see how everything, let some stuff cool off a little bit, see how the temperature is next week. You could have done something else. I felt like it was.
And you could tell.
I'm going to keep doing this because we're AEW and this is what we have to do. But it just felt wrong. It felt wrong.
And you could tell that the crowd was not into it. The crowd was a little bit like, yo, what's going on?
There's a lot of people on Twitter that sent that out afterwards. It was like, oh,
it's not a good.
Too soon. Why too soon? Everything that you could have mixed with it.
Yeah, you could have done so many different angles. Why bring that up? And if you're asking for controversy and you want people to tune in, that's not the right way to tune in, man. That's just me. That's something I do not go ahead and approve from AEW. I thought they really did a really bad decision on that. I hope because they already did it, they just drop it. But I don't know, man. It seems like I have the feeling, knowing AEW, that they're gonna roll with this and they're gonna keep.
Also, another thing is to add even more context to this. Juice Robinson used to hit people with rolled quarters.
Yes, correct.
That was kind of his thing. So again, there's so many different layers of this, but again, it goes back to why now?
Correct.
Why does it have to be now?
Because you know that they know they messed up. Because number one, Juice had to say something, and number two, MJF had to go on social media and kind of say something about this as well. So they know that this was not the right call. Now, let's see how they move forward. Are they going to continue with it? Because if they continue with it, I don't know how the audience, how the wrestling fans are going to, go along with it. Like, I didn't like it. I mean, doesn't mean I didn't tune in. That doesn't mean like I stopped watching.
It's
but
like if you're doing it that way, like, I mean, it's tough because, man, wrestling is always about the good and the bad, right? You had Hulk Hogan take on the Iron Sheik, right? U.S. versus Iran, Russia with Nikolai Volkov. They brought in Corporal Kirchner, Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter betrays. All that stuff. When you start seeing U.S. and things like that, now here it is, and it's like he's the Jewish superhero. I feel like they're trying to make MJF like a Jewish superhero, but is it the time to do it? Is now the time to do that with everything that's going on?
I don't think they're making him a Jewish superhero. I just think that they're trying to really push that Jewish angle because he brought it up from his younghood. So, like you said, it's not the right time. I get you. AEW likes to go ahead and do storylines based on stuff that has happened.
They have put explicitly a lot of detail into the Jewish upbringing of MJF.
Correct.
Like they're pushing him to become that.
I don't think they're pushing him to become that, but I think I don't think they're trying to push him. I think what they're trying to do is to go ahead and explain his childhood and make sure that, like, this is what he went through as he was growing up. Maybe they felt that with the whole situation that's going on right now, let's talk a little bit more about his Jewish side. And I think they're trying to get that Jewish type of maybe fan base or something. I don't know. I just don't think, like you said, it was the right decision to bring that up right now. It's too sensitive. The topic is too sensitive. Don't bring it up. Like, there's so many other things you could do. It's not worth it, in my opinion. I think they dropped the ball on that, and I think they need to drop it. Like, don't even bring it up again. Just let it happen. It happened. Whatever. Let's move forward. I don't think Juice should bring it up until everything kind of calms down, and it's gonna be a while too, So I hope they drop it. I don't think they will, though. I think AEW likes all this crap, and I don't know.
Yeah, but again, this is more to it than AEW, though. That's the thing. Like, I think like this is different than it just being a wrestling angle and things like that. It's just like,
yeah. All right. So after that controversy in the AEW world, we get moving on the NXT side. what obviously you guys were talking about. The John Cena, Trick Williams, Carmelo. You also get Paul Heyman. So talk to me about that, Sean.
Well, which one we talking about? The digital behind the scenes that when he's talking to possible newest member of the bloodline.
Oof.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, well, here we go. So let's talk Josh's question first. Do you think Trick Williams betrays Carmelo Hayes? I think ultimately, yes. I think they're going to play it out a little bit more. I love the fact that he looked at Cena at the end after everything was done. Cena looks at him as he's looking at Carmelo walk away and he's like, "You okay?" And then he looked at Cena and he said, "How did you know your time was now?"
I love that.
And then, again, a little throwback to Cena and his, but then he was like, "Let's go talk." So, I think it's going to be, but I think ultimately what's going to end up, I almost feel like, and I'm probably totally off on this.
Hey, Terry.
I feel like Dragunov is going to end up in a triple threat match with Carmelo and Trick. And I think that is when you're going to see Trick decides the time is now for him. Dragunov will be down, and then he takes out Carmelo and pins Dragunov to become the new NXT champion. That's the way I think this is ultimately going to be, because you saw his face when Carmelo says, "When I get back my NXT champion, you get back your North American." He doesn't want the North American championship.
No.
He wants that NXT championship. And
now,
they already kind of dropped the shell a little bit when he went out and Dragunov and him were having their buddy, and then Carmelo came out and all that stuff, before Trick lost it and everything else. So I think ultimately, I feel like it almost feels to me like it's building to a triple threat. And then that's where Trick's going to go into business for himself. Not necessarily turn on Carmelo, but he's going to go into business for himself and become the new NXT heavyweight champion.
Now, aren't they doing a triple threat match next week? Is that what they're doing on NXT? Is it with Corbin and somebody else? I thought they were doing a triple threat match. I don't know. Maybe
it might have added. I know what happened was at the end of the show, Carmelo gets booted not Carmelo. At the end of the Dom match, Dragunov, Corbin comes out, and Dragunov gets booted by Dojak or Dijak. I can't ever say his name, but he booted him, and he said, "I got him first." So maybe they will.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, that guy. Yes,
maybe they will do a triple threat match with those.
Well, because remember, the winner of Carmelo versus Braun Breaker was supposed to move on to get, I think, like a title shot. I think
the next pay-per-view.
The next pay-per-view.
That's why I think Trick's going to somehow work his way between now and then into the fray, and then that match is going to be a triple threat. I'm just throwing it out there because I don't think it's going to be your classic, betrayal. I think it's going to be Trick going and doing what's better for Trick rather than what's better for Carmelo.
I love the way they've been building up Trick. And if I was Trick, I would go ahead and give a great handshake and a thank you to Dominic Mysterio. Because Dominic Mysterio versus Trick Williams was the reason why Trick has now elevated from that Carmelo Hayes type of like, hey, I'm his buddy, to now wanting to become the next champion. And guys, Sean, come on. You know that Trick became better once they got rid of Mustafa Ali because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And then they brought in Trick, and then Trick won the belt. That's when people were like, holy snap, Trick Williams is not bad. I mean, he was good, but
they're saying he wasn't bad before that, which is why he got the opportunity there.
But now his character elevated.
Yes, his character elevated because of the great Dom Mysterio. Yes,
just letting you know.
Yes, thank you.
And then also you have the
and then the second part that you were talking about with
Paul
Heyman and Ava is the one thing I tweeted out when I saw was the first thing that came to my mind was, is this how they get Rock involved into the Bloodline storyline? Because again, he's been doing a lot of his interviews, and again, he's doing a lot of these interviews right now because the strike is still on. And John Cena's even said, once the strike's over, he's back to work.
He said that.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's already said it. He's like, I'm done. I'm back to work as soon as the strike is over. So again, I almost feel like this is their way of trying to maybe get the involvement of, or at least, again, pique the interest for people to go, will The Rock be involved in this because she's involved?
Yes and no. I don't think she's gonna get. I think she's gonna get involved in the bloodline. I don't think it's gonna bring The Rock back. That's just my angle. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think The Rock.
I think it happens if the strike continues. I think there's a very good. I would give it an 85% chance The Rock comes back. If the strike ends, I give it probably maybe a 10% chance.
Well, isn't those the two girls that are already in the main roster part of the bloodline as well? The big girl. What was the big girl?
Naya and
Naya
Tamina.
and Tamina, and The Rock ain't nothing there. So that's why I don't see it.
The Rock bought Tamina a home. They're very close. They're very close. The Rock. Yeah,
but The Rock never came. You know, like The Rock hasn't done anything crazy
there for her. Like I mean, other than people that follow wrestling would know that The Rock purchased Tamina's home because she's a single mom and she's got 2 kids and everything else. I mean, like most people don't know that side of what The Rock did for her. And plus it's family. So it's his mom's sister's daughter or whatever, however that works out. So that's why it's family.
Well, Carlos just chimed in as well, and he's saying that Carmelo should be in the main roster, and they could simply have Trick defeat Hayes, and not necessarily have Trick turn on Carmelo. Maybe beat Carmelo.
My thinking was like Carmelo and Trick, like maybe Carmelo hits his little I forgot the name of it now, the leg drop off the top. I don't know what he calls it, but he hits that, and then Trick comes in and just pushes him out of the ring and then pins, Dragunov. Like that's how I think. Again, I don't see him doing a beat down on Carmelo or anything like that as far as turning on him. I see it being something more like I went into business for myself and did what was right for Trick for once. Instead of always being there for you, Carmelo, I went into business for Trick.
Well, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea by Carlos, because that would also give Carmelo the opportunity to move on to the main roster. But again,
this is where you guys are going off on this whole thing. They want NXT to start being a main roster.
Like, okay, they want NXT to be the main roster.
Like, I don't see, if you keep moving all those people around.
I don't think they want NXT to be the main roster. I think the reason that they're pushing the NXT so much right now is because they're trying to find a home for it. That's the only reason why you have all these heavy hitters coming over to the NXT world. But something to keep it there, I don't think WWE ever wants to have NXT on the same level as SmackDown and Raw. I think they want
but a third brand.
They already are a third brand, a developmental brand.
They're not a brand. They're developmental territory, man. They're seen as a developmental territory.
Yes, but you still have very good wrestlers that can carry storylines on that side.
But I'm saying they're seen as, like you again. If they're seen as a third brand, it wouldn't be main roster. That would already be a main roster spot.
Yeah, but if you get rid of them being a developmental brand, who's gonna take over that position? Are you still gonna bring newbies to come to NXT if you still wanted to stand alone and be really, really big as SmackDown and Raw? No, you can't. You have to keep it as a development.
You're talking about the live shows. All those people are wrestling. Carmelo Hayes doesn't even do live shows. Braun Breaker hasn't been at the last 2 live show circuits. It's all the Lola Vices and all those are the ones doing the wrestling in
and what is NXT known for right now as a developmental show, a developmental league. That's why they got to keep it that way.
But again, Triple H always wanted that to be a brand, the black and gold brand.
The only black and gold brand around here is the black and yellow over there in AEW. That's what I'm talking about. But anyways, maybe Triple H wants to do that because his buddy Shawn Michaels is over there and he's trying to push Shawn Michaels and help him out. But I feel like they're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You have here and there some guys that are in the main roster, Becky Lynch, Dom. You got these guys coming over. You're bringing eyes. People are tuning in. You don't have to make it huge, and you could still manage to promote well-deserved talent to the main roster. Braun Breaker. Look how Paul Heyman was talking about Braun Breaker, and just by him talking about it, saying, "Yo, let me call the tribal chief," and all this stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's even an angle later down the road. I'm not saying right now, where Paul Heyman kind of moves on from the tribal chief and then takes over being like the Braun Breaker. You know, like those are all angles. Are you gonna have Paul Heyman literally come out every single time behind Braun Breaker in NXT? Absolutely not. You need him in the main roster. You need him in SmackDown or Raw whenever they decide to do another draft if they move him. But I think those are clever things that they're putting in place. That way you could move those guys over to the main roster. And it's not going to hurt NXT because you're still going to have Trick Williams. You're still going to have Dragunov.
Right? Until you move them up.
As of right. How long has Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker been in NXT? They've been there for a minute.
Been there for a while, yes, because Triple H has been over this now for the last probably 3 months since Vince McMahon got surgery. He's been running this. And that's what I'm saying. Like, now he's getting, and apparently Endeavor has endeared themselves to what Triple H is doing and has pretty much given him control of running it now. So now you're starting to see that take hold. That's why you're seeing a lot of different things than what you saw before from WWE, which is why I think ultimately, as this goes, yes, right now they're trying to find a home for NXT. Yeah. But again, you have to remember this. If you're selling these numbers, you have to keep these numbers.
But do you really think that they're going to continuously keep bringing John Cena, continuously bringing the Taker?
Even Tom, Becky, and them, they're doing in the 750, 800s.
Well,
so if you start building up this brand and you build up Carmelo Hayes, you build up Trick Williams, you build up Dragunov, you build up Braun Breaker, you build up the women's division there. I mean, Tiffany Stratton's obviously gone. We know that's already going to happen.
Well, no. We don't need to leave Tiffany Stratton to that. We need to build NXT.
She's already showing up at all the other things. So that's not.
Oh, so we could make exceptions for Tiffany Stratton, but we can't make exceptions for Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker, and all those people? Why not? Same still.
Because you got 657 other women that can do what Tiffany Stratton's doing. You don't have another Carmelo Hayes.
Wait, you're saying that Tiffany Stratton is not to that level? I mean, she's really good.
Thank you. Nothing but net, Josh. I appreciate that. I didn't know what that was called. It's a leg drop off the top rope. That's what I see.
Again, Josh, you know me. I'm a AEW. I'm getting into the NXT side, so I don't know these names. I don't sit there
and follow every finisher now because
I don't.
My God, really? But I laugh because you heard the other day. I saw this one thing come across, and I honestly don't know how old this is, but it was Triple H, Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels talking, and he was like, Shawn Michaels goes, "Well, hey. At least the new generation is taking care of my finishing maneuver."
So it's music.
Started bawling out laughing.
Wow.
He said, Undertaker even went, "What are you talking about? Now it's a lock-up super kick."
Yeah. AEW does it all the time. Again, I thought they were doing really good with the whole Paul Heyman's angle. I don't think there's going to be too much developing with The Rock. Maybe. I mean, you can never say never.
It's just the fact that it's there now.
Correct.
And again, if I'm WWE, everything I write has a shadow over it of The Rock. Just because, hey, you never know. Just make it happen.
And then to kind of also talk about it, Josh mentioned it. Jade Cargill, she also makes a guest appearance at that time. Says what's up to Sean. I'm tired of them just showcasing her like that. Come on, man. You got to do something more than just showcasing her. Have her sit down in the audience. Maybe have her. Maybe have
Ricky Fresco says so.
Maybe have her walk and run and bump into Tiffany Stratton, and then she could start doing little segments here and there.
You don't have to speed it up. You don't have to speed
not
it
this,
up, bro.
Not this crap.
It's not AEW. We don't have to have a pay-per-view and you know, I mean,
it's not this crap where she's always getting out of her car. Oh, and hands down, I did like the car. I think that was that LA Knight or was it John Cena? I don't remember now. My memory.
Blue car?
Yeah, was that John Cena?
John Cena.
It was John Cena. Okay, so that was cool.
The Hyundai.
Yeah. But You had Jay Cargo. Here she comes. Oh, I'm coming out of the car again. Hey,
show that walk.
Hey.
Show that physique. Show that money.
How about you have her run into somebody, talk to somebody? Hey,
you don't need to do that yet.
Well, does it hurt her character? It doesn't hurt her character. It actually
doesn't hurt her character to bump into somebody. It doesn't hurt her character not to bump into somebody.
She doesn't have to bump into anybody. All she has to do is just talk to somebody. Or while she's walking in the background,
she's talking to Shawn Michaels. She's talking to the people she needs to talk to. The people that are going to pay her the money.
Oh my God. Well, she ain't wrestling Shawn Michaels. She ain't wrestling Triple H. She ain't wrestling any of those guys. She's wrestling the women's division. They need to start out. If she's not ready, at least start to create that buzz of, hey, she's walking in the background, or somebody looks at her and be like, oh my God, that's Jay Cargo, and she's ignoring them or something. Like she thinks she's bigger and better than them. Stuff like that, just to start kind of like changing it up a little bit. No, I'm serious. I mean, how many times is she gonna get out of the car and just walk in, or at least have her sit in the audience? She doesn't have to do that much. Just have her sit in the audience. Something different. All right. Anyways, Jay Cargo, when is she gonna come in? I have no idea. When is she wrestling? Whenever I guess Triple H and Shawn Michaels decide.
Or they need her to.
What to do with her? Because honestly, I hate the fact that they're still keeping it a secret whether they're putting her in the main roster or putting her in NXT. But just go ahead and put her in the main roster. She deserves to be in the main roster. That's why you're paying her the big bucks. Moving on. Now we go back to. Oh, what are you trying to find here? Are you trying to? Do you want to share with the fans when she's walking in from the car again? Because that's pretty much what WWE or at least NXT keeps doing, which is annoying. Just have her sit down, man. Have her have like a good time. Something. Well, while you're looking, what are you looking for? That way, at least I know what you're looking for.
When did she pull up?
She pulled up in that dress. I thought that was. Guys, was that a see-through dress? I was like, I wasn't sure about that. I was like, I'm not trying to be a creep or anything like that, but I didn't notice that. I was like, oh, is that a see-through dress? Anyways, she was there and she pulled up like she was coming up to.
Yeah, it was the fifth most segment there.
No, that we like to see her walk, Frankie. I want to see her walk and talk to acknowledge somebody else besides Shawn Michaels or Triple H. That's just my idea. Sean wants to see her keep walking. So
Carlos V, what are you? Are you AEW guy, Carlos? Or are you
I like Carlos already, man.
WWE dropped the ball at Cargo's debut. Should have had vignettes building up her debut, much like the
yeah.
And his name is not Brian Pillman Jr.
Yes, Carlos. I'm
Lexus
liking
King.
you, sir. I am liking Carlos. Welcome to the chat, Carlos.
The whole thing was the thing that you're forgetting is this. The video that debuted her had over 20 million views. Her walking into the PC. Over 20 million views. What AEW product had 20 million views?
Probably CM Punk or something.
I'll wait.
This guy right here. Way more than 20 million views. Karen! Yes! AEW. I like the fact that they did the Brian Pillman and they finally revealed him and he finally went and came out and everything. They did a good job. Now, I know where Sean is going with this. Nobody knows who the hell is Brian Pillman Jr. They're trying to build his character up. It's not like Jay Cargo. Jay Cargo comes in 20 million.
First off, he's not Brian Pillman Jr. anymore. He's Lexus King. His name is Lexus King.
They should have kept him as Brian Pillman Jr. That's how I want to know him.
No.
Lexus King. What kind of name?
Brian Pillman Jr.
He sounds like the Lexus, like a car. Lexus King.
First off, it's about his sister that passed away. Was his manager, Alexis. So he got Alexis' name. Okay, and then the King is, as he said in the interview, the last name of the man that raised him since his father left him and passed away.
So he's calling his dad King?
No. The last name of the man that raised him was King.
Oh, okay.
That's again, his mom remarried, so now it's Lexus King.
Pardon my ignorance. Again, I don't tune into NXT all the time.
Oh, I mean, when I first saw the name, I was like, oh, this is terrible. But at least there's a backstory to it. And the way that they're building it up with him talking about my dad who was never there for me. People want me to live through him and this and that. No, I've taken the name of the man who raised me. And that's where he left it. They never even put the name up there. They just said that was the name he's taken.
I liked him better. I liked him better as Brian Pillman Jr. But I mean, I do like the fact that they changed. If his name got changed, which he did, and that's the story behind it, then it makes sense. I'll give it a try.
Backstory for it, so that was cool. That I like. And then look, you don't have to really like introduce him, but I think the way they're doing the story to build up to what his name's going to be now, because he's not Brian Pillman Jr. anymore. He's going to be Lex King.
Should be Brian Pillman
Jr. Jay Cargill. People know Jay Cargill. They know her.
I guess that's why.
People watch the video.
That's why you say, hey, they didn't have to do the whole vignette stuff like they did with Brian Pillman Jr. But or Lexus King.
Carlos is true. He said, luckily, Cargo hasn't been attacked in the most dangerous place in all of wrestling, the PC parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's like, come on, we got to get over her getting out of the car and walking, or just overall, just her walking. Like, it's ridiculous. We already got the 20 million views. You already got the 20 million views, WWE. Speed it up, man. Push it forward. All right.
Need to speed it up.
All right. Moving on. We took too much time talking about that. Anyways, now.
Feud with CF now.
We go on to the AEW side again, and then all of a sudden now we have Saraya versus Shida. And I have no freaking reason why they keep dropping the ball, and now all of a sudden Shida becomes a 3-time
Holy
champion. Why in the world are they making Shida win the championship? And then I was trying to look to see if maybe Saraya was hurt. There's nothing wrong. She's not hurt. She's perfectly fine. Why in the world did they cut her reign as champion?
I feel like Tony Khan said, we're just turning all the belts over tonight. That's it. Everybody loses.
So stupid. Like, it gets me so mad when I saw that. I was like, Shida beats Saraya? Shida? And it's like Saraya defended her belt maybe
also
twice.
Tony Storm beats up Ruby Soho with flip-flops.
Oh, but I do like Tony Storm's new gimmick. I love it.
The timeless
gimmick. And then the titty slap.
Yes.
Can't go around.
Calls it out.
Yeah, like titty slap out there.
This is like, we'll be back after these sponsors.
I like it. I like it.
We're like, I guess we're going to break.
I like it. But I think again AEW dropped the ball because when they were doing her like whole gimmick, the little segment from her, they went into that like that section where they do like back to back. They do commercials on one end and then they do the AEW on the side. They did Tony Storm wrong. Why the hell did they do that? Like, come on! If you're gonna show
she is now called the Queen of Picture in Picture. Apparently, every time they do the silent movies, they go to picture in picture, almost like what Sammy Guevara did when he had those little
with the cards.
The cards, yeah. So they're using silent movies for that.
Did you see that this guy also did it? Don Callis, he had to write up the cards, and he was doing it with Takeshita because he wanted it. They didn't give him enough time to go ahead and a segment for him to say what he wanted to say. So then he was doing the cards. I don't know. I just sometimes I'm a little bit just. Maybe I don't know too much about wrestling or whatnot, but I just don't like some of those stuff. Some of those calls don't, in my eyes, just doesn't seem relevant. I think it's stupid, but whatever. I mean, if you say it's because of that she's part of the segment, like she's doing the, back to back.
They use the segment as now you can put her segment in because it's a silent movie at the same time the commercial's playing.
Yeah,
you don't have to have the sound.
I don't know. I just
one of those things that they're just trying to get so much. Trying to what is it? You're trying to stuff 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag?
Wait, Big Nick. I think Saraya's still a pretty decent wrestler. She's not the same as when she was in NXT, but she's still not bad, man. She could hang. She did a great job out of All In. I thought it was a really good fight. I know it was a 3-way, but it was a 4-way actually. But it was still very, very good. I think she could still hang. I think she still has a good name under her. Her character still sells. So I think overall she could hang. Do you think Shida's better than Saraya? Like, okay, if you think Saraya's not the same, is Shida better than Saraya? Like, come on. Are we really going to go there? Are we really going to say Shida's better than Saraya? I don't know about all that, man. I know they want to push Shida, but man, I still think even if Saraya is not to the same level as she was before, I still think she's a better wrestler and she's more talented than Sheeta. That's just my opinion. You don't agree? Are you going with Sheeta? You like Sheeta better?
Before the neck injury, I would go with Saraya or Paige or whatever you want to call her. But dude, Sheeta is pretty damn good, buddy.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not saying Sheeta sucks, but I think Soraya's character, Soraya's name is bigger. Maybe Sheeta's wrestling is better than Soraya's, but at least her name, her character is bigger than Sheeta, in my opinion. I think that's why you have Sheeta winning it for the third damn time, the wrestling belt, because they want to make her relevant. There was a while back, and you were like, "Oh, why at All In? Why did they put Sheeta and just Sheeta against Saraya?" No, they had to put a 4-way. There's reasons why. I think Sheeta's good. I'm not saying Sheeta's bad, but I also feel that Sheeta doesn't hold to the same level as Saraya when it comes to her character. Maybe wrestling wise, she's better, but overall, I still think Saraya sells better. Merch sells better. Her character, people know her more. I mean, she was in WWE. Even just by her being in WWE, she's a bigger character in my opinion than this girl, than Sheeta. Plus the whole Outcast. I mean, she made that group. Literally, she kind of helped Ruby Soho back. She's helped Tony Storm back. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, but see, this is where I think AEW hasn't done a good enough job of saying who some of these people are. Hikaru Shida's big in Japan. Like I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like that's where I feel like sometimes they drop the ball on someone thinking that, oh, everybody knows who they are. And it's like, everybody's not necessarily, like they'll know again, when you looked and somebody put this in the thing, they were like, all right, so look at everything. And then this is also one of the things I said about WCW too, by the way. All right. It was, so when you looked at last night, right? The first person you saw on AEW wrestling was who?
When the show first started?
Yep.
Christian.
What's he known for? Who made Christian?
WWE.
What's the last thing you saw on AEW?
Christian. And Bryan Danielson.
And Edge.
That was dumb, though.
Actually, if you look at the still photo, that is probably the baddest ending I've seen. Because Edge has got, Adam Copeland, the Rated R Superstar, has got this growl on his face as Bryan Danielson is pulling back on Christian. And somebody snapped a picture before it went off. It's a pretty badass picture still-wise. Now, how everything went down, whatever their own. But again, you didn't take advantage. You talk all this stuff about your AEW homegrown talent, and you began and ended your showcase show with WWE grown talent.
Yeah. That's where I said the whole Wardlow pushing him with Moxley would be a good idea. I said the Hobbs bringing him to Don Callis was a good idea. I see Karen going ahead and saying, hey, Swerve Strickland, yes, he lost, but they have been pushing Swerve. They need to go ahead and change it up and bring some of that new blood and make them. When in the world do you see Wardlow or a Powerhouse Hobbs or one of those guys face against the big WWE guys? Why wouldn't we be able to go see whatever happened to like putting Wardlow in a pay-per-view against Moxley or against Hangman Page or against one of those big elite, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, those guys? You don't have it. And we all know Wardlow is one of their best wrestlers that they have, and he could sell.
And he's an AEW guy. Like that's
Hobbs.
I really didn't think about it till afterwards, and and then people are throwing. I'm like, man, that's true. That's true. Whereas in WWE, you started with Cody, which Cody is technically, however, Cody is Cody. I mean, you can say AEW, but I think Cody built himself. You had a version of Cody that was in WWE. Then he went to the the independents, did his thing. Then he made AEW. I mean, you can call him whatever, an AEW talent. I think he made himself. That's who they start the show, with. And then they bring out the NXT champion. And then you bring out Dom. Then you bring out, and then you end the show with Braun's on the rope, leaned up on the rope, kind of catches breath. And you got Carmelo and Undertaker in the ring celebrating. And then at the end, they walk to the back and they do the Undertaker pose. And that's how they go off.
And I read this online. I don't remember from which one, but it was a website. Sorry, I'm not remembering the website. But they said two good, really valid things that happened last night. Mm-hmm. Number one is AEW started very strong that first hour. And in the second hour, it kind of just dwindled. And it kind of was like, whatever. And I know they're trying to sell the whole rated R thing because he's the next pop. He's like, oh, he's the, the shiny new gem in AEW. NXT kept a storyline throughout the whole show, even to the very
part of it. That's what I'm saying. They each did what they were best at. WWE made it sports entertainment. The whole show was sports entertainment. It was promos, it was build, it was story after story, and AEW went with the wrestling. The in-ring wrestling. And their in-ring wrestling is very good. Don't get me wrong on there. But did you help anybody on that show?
And that's what I will tell you this. It frustrates me that their ending was a big brawl between everybody coming out, And
it was like they're just throwing guys. It felt like they're just throwing guys out. I get it was Swerve and his
Hangman,
crew, whatever those guys are called, but it's like
Gates of Agony. Gates of Agony.
It's like, I mean, they're not.
The Blackpool Combat Club.
The craziest thing that I thought of also was, this is your big show, right? Your Tuesday night show.
Yep.
No Omega, no Bucks.
I was actually happy that they weren't there. And not because of CM Punk. Because I know you probably, in the chat, no, don't say it's because of my AEW, bias opinion and CM Punk. But I do like that from AEW. I don't need to see Kenny Omega. I don't need to see FTR.
They're AEW. That's
the thing. I understand that. I understand that. But look, a pay-per-view, the reason WWE is so good.
If anything, instead of Christian starting the show, have the Young Bucks in the control center or something. I mean, do something different than what they did. It brought nothing to the show. It brought nothing.
What they could have done, I guess, I don't know. I don't have any idea. I would have to think about it as far as the beginning of the show. But at the end of the show, what I was thinking that they should have switched it up. Instead of just having everybody come out and brawl it out and all that stuff, they should have brought back the whole MJF, the mask guy. What is he, the devil? A segment of the devil somewhere around there. Like either he's up in the audience looking or he's something related to that, because that brought controversy and that brought suspense, and people are still trying to figure out, was that MJF? Was that Adam Cole? Who the hell is that? You understand me?
Then you would have had to make the other match last.
No. Again.
Who are they attacking?
He's not attacking anybody. They could have done the whole Christian scenario going on, and maybe that the devil is up there just watching, and you're like, wait, why is he now watching Edge? Why is he or Adam Copeland? Why is he watching that? Like, you start bringing nuggets, kind of like what Paul Heyman did with Braun Breaker. You saw how he mentioned Braun Breaker. Now I have a nugget that, hey, he might move on eventually at one point in time from the Tribal Chief. And yes, I know. I think it was Big Nick who mentioned it, or somebody in the chat said that after the whole Tribal Chief, he's going to retire. Maybe not. I don't know yet. But we don't know yet. Things change in the wrestling world. But now you could also see something where you're like, oh my God, hold on a second. You have Braun Breaker. He could probably work with Paul Heyman now, at least at the beginning. So you're bringing stuff that you're throwing the storylines in different angles where you keep your fans guessing, and people are going to be like, wow, what is next? Why has the Bloodline been so good? Is because at the beginning, we were surprised at Sami Zayn. We were surprised all these controversies that they were doing. Why is the Bloodline kind of like falling short now? It's because they haven't come up with any suspense, anything crazy. It's kind of the same story. Oh, Jey Uso turned. Jimmy Uso turned. Solo's trying to do his thing. Again, you have to make it suspenseful, make it confusing for the fans. I understand.
But it's also about building up the guys as you're doing it, because now when you look at what they've done, you've got Jey Uso in the main event Jey Uso. You've got Jimmy and Solo still, holding their own too. They built them up in the Bloodline story. It's not just throw, guys. That's where I feel like the sports entertainment part of WWE is better than what AEW is, because AEW does they build up the guys, and not saying they build them up properly, but to me they build them up better than what AEW does. AEW, Wardlow, for instance, let's use Wardlow, was a monster. He squashes MJF, gets the TNT title, loses it to what the hell? Cody's assistant. What's his name?
What do you mean?
Cody's assistant.
QT Marshall?
Yeah, QT Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, bro, like make some stuff make sense. Like, why are you doing all this with it and then you lose it to them? Like, and then Hobbs has it for 3 weeks and then he loses it back to Wardlow.
That's one thing I hate about AEW. I don't like the fact that their title reigns don't last long. I mean, MJF is probably one of the ones that has lost it the longest, and FTR. But besides those guys, Orange Cassidy, that's it. Everybody else, look what they did with Saraya. And I know you guys are saying, hey, Saraya is not as good as before. But still, she lasted how long with the belt? Maybe a month? Like, come on, man. Like, you gotta build these guys. And I know Saraya is not an AEW person, but who's to say that she can't go ahead and develop somebody in the AEW? Maybe why couldn't you go ahead and probably have her attack, I don't know, Willow again, or Sky Blue or something, or bring her and replace Toni Storm from the Outcast with somebody new.
I mean, remember, Sheeta was the AEW champion through the COVID time.
Yes, and I have no problem with Sheeta. I just thought,
I feel like you do.
I just feel that Sheeta should not have won the belt last night. I think you should have let Saraya keep being the champion for a while, and then eventually, because look what happened with Sheeta. She won the belt the second time, and how long did she become a champion for? How long was she? She was like just short. Her reign was short too, and then Saraya won.
So Saraya won it, and then
exactly. How long did she become? How long was she a champion for? Like about a month as well, like a month or a tops. So it's like, why are you switching all these people over and over again? It's like, hey, I don't need to see that.
I just feel like there's like they arrive at the arena and then like dartboard the matches.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that happens a lot. I mean, it's just like there's no consistency to the matches. It's like, okay, we got to get to the next pay-per-view. These are what the matches are going to be at the pay-per-view. How can we get there?
I just feel that the AEW needs to push more their talent. Like, I want to see Ricky Stark and Big Bill more on pay-per-views. I want to see Warlow on pay-per-views. I want to see who's another one that's big in the AEW world. I mean, I know Darby Allin has been.
I think also you're starting to see some blowback from the AEW faithful.
Oh, yeah, because they've been letting go of a lot of them, too.
They're letting go of a lot of the AEW guys, and then you're bringing in all of the – and I'm not saying like you can't tell me that you got Adam Copeland, Edge, in his first match on AEW, and you get a 605?
Remember, he's no CM Punk. He's no CM Punk. Let's keep it real.
I don't care, man. You got a 605, bro. Like, and I don't care about the numbers. I thought the shows were great. But you're sitting there and you've done all this. You asked for a 10-minute overview. You got a 30 minutes, no commercials. You started your show on YouTube 30 minutes early, which you also shit the bed on that to me too, because you could have done some backstage stuff instead of just having Renee and RJ City there talking. You could have done stuff to hype up the show, and then they don't go off in time. Renee's in the middle of AEW Dynamite. Oh, it's 8:00. Gotta go to TNT or TBS now. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I mean, you know what? If AEW is so much about wrestling, then they should have never started with the Christian, and they should have started with the Eddie Kingston versus the Suzuki fight, because that delivered.
Start that 10 minutes early and then come into that.
Just start to that. Just start. Forget about Christian talking and all that stuff, and just have him go ahead and start with that fight. Be like, oh, we're starting it hardcore, because that was a good fight. If you tuned into it on YouTube, did you see he had like 100 chops on his chest?
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing, though. But you took them away from Kate. You took them to your YouTube channel to hope that they go back to your. You should have asked TBS. Look, can we just go early? Look. I think they play Big Bang Theory all the way up to 8 o'clock. Can we?
Whoa! You cannot cut the Big Bang Theory.
I don't understand. At 7:50, if all of a sudden, boom, it turns in, it's Kingston and them fighting, and then it leads into the rest of the show, something surprising like that. Don't even announce it. Just be like, hey, boom, it's there. Now they're likely to not turn away from your channel, and now you're going to start big, because when you look at the numbers, they were never in the ball game.
Well, the thing is, NXT,
overall numbers, they were never even close.
NXT started off with a bang, while AEW started with Christian just backstage talking, and you're like, what?
All they did was they brought Cody to the ring.
No, but they exactly they had that pop of the crowd. They had, then you had Dominic, and then they announced Dominic versus Dragunov. I mean, that LA Knight as the referee, they knew how to build that first beginning of the show. AEW did it.
Because they knew they had the people watching.
Well, we've been going at it for a little minute when it comes to this AEW NXT.
And by the way, we've dissected everything, said some bad issues. I did think both cards delivered.
I thought
AEW
so too.
And the WWE card, for the first time in a while, as I said earlier, able to switch back and forth and enjoy both shows.
I enjoyed it as well. I honestly felt that the biggest winner of last night was us, the fans, the wrestling fans. We were able to go ahead and
wasn't
enjoy.
TK on his birthday.
No, and then you saw he was taking shots at Shawn Michaels and all that stuff. I saw. We'll see what happens. But hey, let's change it up for just a quick second, guys. We're gonna come back to it, and you know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for our top 5 no debating segment. Yes, sir. Top 5 no debating. And tonight we were talking about it since Adam Copeland made his way over to the AEW side. We are now going to go ahead and pick our top 5 Adam Copeland opponents in the AEW world. We did last week with DJ Cargo. This week we wanted to keep it even, right? You got Cargo in the WWE side, and now we're giving Adam Copeland his share. So Sean, are you ready for the top 5, or are you scrambling trying to find out?
I'm scrambling.
I knew it. I had the feeling you were scrambling. Like, I saw your face. I was like, oh crap. I didn't know that was going to be the top 5. And I told you, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I did tell Sean ahead of schedule what the top 5 was going to be.
Yeah, no. Now let me ask you something now. These are just the AEW talents, right? Or Ring of Honor. Like,
anybody from
it's not like there's Zack Sabre Juniors, you
could put anybody that you feel that has wrestled in the AEW. So even if they do the whatchamacallit, the one where they combine both New Japan Wrestling and AEW, you could do either or. It doesn't necessarily just have to be the AEW. It could be a Ring of Honor. It could be that. It's gonna be since Sean is Sean. Let me can you share the screen?
Oh yeah, I got to do that, don't I?
Yeah, you kind of do. All right. And also, guys, for you guys that have not tuned in or did not get a chance to tune in last week, we got a new look, the new top 5 for all you guys. So since Sean is scrambling, this is what
I'm ready to go now.
You got your 5 already?
I do.
Wow, impressive. Okay, all right. Well, I will go ahead and start it off. And with my first wrestler of AEW, I have my number 5 to be Christian. Christian against Mr. Adam Copeland. And I'll tell you why. If you tune into WWE a while back, they have wrestled, but AEW is pushing the storyline right now. This is what they want. They want to see Christian versus Adam Copeland. Let's give it to them. Give it to us, to the fans. Should be something that will deliver, especially since we haven't seen them wrestle in a long time against each other. I think when was the last time they wrestled? I think it was back in 2001 is when they wrestled against each other. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was the last time they actually wrestled against each other. But that's my number 5. Sean, it's up to you. Do you want me to go with my top 5 and then we go to your top 5? That way I could give you enough time to make your choices.
Yeah, we can go however you want to do it. Go ahead. You're good.
All right, so I'll go with my number 4. My number 4 is Kenny Omega. And the reason I got Kenny Omega is because that was somebody that Adam Copeland did mention on his media scrum when he first debuted at Wrestle Dream. He did say that he wanted to fight wrestlers that he's never fought before. And Mr. Kenny Omega is a fight that I think will deliver. Kenny Omega has never fought Adam Copeland, and Adam Copeland has never fought Kenny Omega. They just met. So it would be A+ in my eyes. Number 3 is Samoa Joe. And the reason I got Samoa Joe is because Samoa Joe will always deliver. He went against CM Punk, and in All In it delivered. Samoa Joe went against MJF. I would be shocked if they don't find a way to put in Adam Copeland versus Samoa Joe in some of his opponents. Number 2, who do you guys think I'm going to choose? Of course, the man of the hour, Mr. MJF. He is the number 1 biggest pop in AEW right now, in my opinion. He's so good. Obviously, Adam Cole makes him very relevant as well, but I do like MJF. I think he's probably the best AEW wrestler that you could technically put him up against. I think Adam Copeland and him would have a phenomenal mic experience. Like they both will be able to throw at each other some jabs, kind of like when CM Punk was throwing jabs at MJF and MJF threw jabs at him. I will go ahead and hold off on my number 1 because I want to see what Sean has. So I will hold off on my number 1.
Why are you holding off? I don't understand.
I don't want you to know what my number 1 is. We will reveal it at the very end, sir. Now jumping to your side. Who do you have?
Your number 5, Eddie Kingston.
Not bad.
I'd like to see the story that these two can tell. Style clashes, but Edge is one of those guys that can go any number of ways with his styles, and you saw it with Cactus Jack and everything else. I think that could be a very good match there. Number 4, Kota Ibushi.
Oh my God, hold on. I gotta look at this up. I gotta look at this spelling.
Kotaibushi. That is the partner of Kenny Omega. And I think those two would be fantastic.
Ibushi.
Number 3. Can I give him number 4 up there? Can we keep up here?
Hold on. Jesus. I'm ready. Go.
Kenny Omega.
Okay.
Very interested to see again. I just think the Clash's style, Edge is more grounded now than some of these other guys. I think it could make for a very interesting fight. My number 2 is Will Ospreay.
Okay.
Damn. All right. Who's your number 1?
Hold on. Let me fix this because I don't. Oh, damn. Well, whatever. We'll just ignore the spelling. My number 1 is your number 2. It is Mr. Will Ospreay. I actually felt Will Ospreay is better than MJF when it comes to a fight. They delivered. MJF. I'm sorry. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay did deliver. So I could only imagine what Adam Copeland and Will Ospreay would do. Now, be careful, Adam Copeland. Mr. Will Ospreay likes to injure people, or sometimes he isn't careful enough. So I hope Mr. Copeland takes care of himself because Ospreay is one of the most talented wrestlers, but I do feel he's a little bit too aggressive sometimes and careless. I'm pretty sure I know who you got.
Let's see. Go ahead. Who do you think it is? It is because he's the number 1 opponent, because when he wins that match, he will become the first-time AEW champion. That's the only reason they got him number 1, because the most is on the line.
I mean, I like MJF.
And also, I think, again, MJF does the devil. I think you can start bringing out, a little bit of the Judgment Day edge, Brood edge, however you want to look at it. And you start bringing out different, versions of the Rated R Superstar, because I called him Edge again. So the Rated R Superstar. So we'll see.
I thought you can't go wrong with either or. Let's see what some of the people said on the chat. Yep. We have my brother. You got TK, MJF, Moxley, Danielson, and Cage. Moxley and Bryan Danielson. Those are pretty heavy hitters as well.
Yeah, but he already fought with Danielson. He got piled on top of each other, and Roman Reigns.
He did.
Sent them bye-bye.
He did. Moxley, you got a bloodfest. Can't go wrong with a bloodfest. And then Carlos, he said, to me, Moxley on top of my list. Edge retired in 2011. Max debuted in WWE in 2012 with the Shield. Max left WWE in 2019. Edge returned in 2020. I think overall, we're excited for Adam Copeland and what we have on the possibility in the future of who he will wrestle. Yeah. Either or, we cannot go wrong with either one.
Yeah, I think the Mox would be good if it's the same as what Eddie Kingston. It's just a brawl. I don't see them being. It'd have to be like a Cactus Jack, Falls Count Anywhere type style match. I just don't think, with the way Mox is now, he's not doing the any other style of match. So that's the only reason. Like Eddie Kingston, I went down there just because, dude, I love Eddie Kingston, and I would love to see him just get in the ring with Adam Copeland one time and just let him go and see how it goes. It might not be good, it might be terrible, but Eddie Kingston to me deserves that.
My only thing about Eddie Kingston is that have you seen his gut, like that big belly of his? And I don't know, like,
have you seen Kevin Owens' gut?
Yes, but Kevin,
just asking.
Kevin Owens' gut.
Reed, Otis, you seen their guts?
Yeah, but that's true. I guess I can't. I should be criticizing. I should be criticizing Eddie Kingston.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, that gut as well.
That gut, baby.
I hear that gut as well.
Well, let me go ahead and turn this off.
There you go. Took it off. All right, sir. Well then,
Big Nick said also a little bit ago, he goes, great wrestlers in AEW production value really leaves a lot to be desired. I think that's why they haven't grabbed me fully. I'm a sports entertainment guy.
I like it.
And it's true, because even like last night, if you put them side by side, NXT just looked bigger than what AEW was doing.
In the entertainment side, yes.
Well, the production value of it.
It
looked bigger production-wise than what AEW was doing.
I think the problem with AEW is what we've always said. I think they struggle when it comes to the whole storyline, and
also I think they got lazy.
I think they got lazy with that beginning.
They got lazy with what, because Vince McMahon, they were like, Vince is going to ruin it. We just sit here and Vince will ruin this thing. But then the lawsuits came, Vince left, and they were like, oh no, this is not what we had planned. And now here we are. Why is your brother saying Connor?
Because remember, we spoke about this a while back, that I honestly feel that Endeavor will start putting in some of these UFC fighters into the wrestling world. He brought in Rousey as well. Remember what I told you? I think Rousey should make her way over to the AEW side. And, sometimes we got to make certain moves, man. There's nothing wrong. And you know where they need to go? They need to go to that developmental league called NXT, which we all should stay as a developmental league, because that's how we know them. And it still works. 800,000 for a reason. Do you really think they got to make it into a mainstream SmackDown or Raw? They already got 800,000 people watching. Come on. Do you really need to change the format? No, you don't. It's working.
But you built up the talent that's there. If that talent just goes away, it changes the program.
800,000 people were not watching because of Carmelo and Braun Breaker and all that stuff. 800,000. 400,000 were watching because of The Undertaker, because of John Cena, because of LA Knight.
The number last night was 930.
Whatever.
9,000 is what they've been doing the 3-4 weeks prior. They've been doing 730, 740, 850, and 820.
Yeah, I mean, they did all that because they brought in Becky Lynch, because they brought in Dominic Mysterio, and
Calm
those
down,
are two.
calm down, TK Jr. Calm down, TK Jr.
Before Becky Lynch.
Calm down, TK Jr.
Before Seth freaking Rollins, before Dominic Mysterio, was anybody paying attention to NXT? Like, only the hardcore people were. I wasn't even
They're
paying
getting about the numbers that AEW got last night.
Let's not bring these comparisons between one and the other, because
you're the one that's like,
last time
it's all about, because that's the thing I can't stand though. It's like, all the people were there to see the Undertaker and this and that. They were doing 840 without the Undertaker, without John Cena. Like, I get most people tuned in to watch them. I understand that, but you can't take away the numbers they've had week prior.
Yeah, but you also got to. But what? Okay, so maybe not so much of what they did with John.
They've been building it up. They've been building it up.
But they didn't build it. They didn't get to 800 by just their NXT talent. They built it up because they brought in Becky Lynch, because they brought in Seth Rollins, because they brought in Dominic Mysterio. Let's keep it real. That's what happened.
They brought those guys in to start building up your Trick Williams, right? Then you say Trick has to thank Dom Williams or Dom Mysterio for building them up, right? That's what you said. That you said earlier, right?
Yes.
That's what they've done. They bring these guys in to build up the brand, and then also to find a place for them on TV.
Exactly, because eventually when you build them up, you move them to the main roster.
No,
that's the right thing. Right thing.
Correct.
What do you guys think in the chat? Do you feel that NXT should go ahead and become another SmackDown or Raw, or are they fine the way they are? They're fine the way they are. Why are you trying to break something that's not broken?
What the hell are you talking about?
It's working. They're a developmental league that people are actually tuning in. They were smart about it.
They're not being marketed as the developmental league right now. With Triple H in charge, they are being marketed as WWE NXT. They're not WWE NXT, where stars of tomorrow. No, it's the stars of today.
I understand that.
Yeah, but I'm tired of the bullshit main roster shit. If you want NXT to be that, then NXT has to be a roster.
Why?
Is Ring of Honor a roster?
Yes.
Okay, is Dynamite a roster? Collision a roster?
Well, Dynamite and Collision are
are they? Do you want them to change everybody around? No, you build it up to where NXT can be on its own. Is it going to give you 1.5s, 1.6s? No.
But again, I just don't see what's the big deal of switching it up. Like, just let it the way it is. Look, Chad has a very good point. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember. No, Becky Lynch. I don't think Becky Lynch was NXT before.
Yes, she was.
She was? Okay. Yeah. Well, again, I'm not too sure.
They all came through NXT.
John Cena didn't come through the NXT world.
He went through OVW.
Okay, but he didn't come through the Undertaker and all those people. They NXT. We're talking about NXT. But yeah, Seth Rollins, Dom Mysterio didn't come through the NXT world. He went straight to the main roster. Jay Cargo might go straight to the main roster. Again, there's nothing wrong with having NXT the way it is. I like the NXT.
You're like Colin Cowherd.
I'm like Colin Cowherd.
Dude, I've never said nothing about going through and having to go. What I'm saying though is, why build up Braun Breaker? Why build up Trick Williams? Why build up Carmelo Hayes just to go to Raw and SmackDown? Why not keep them and put eyes on the NXT product? That's what I'm saying.
But it's like you could still do the same thing like what they do with the WWE draft. You move them around. What's the difference? You move them at
the draft, that's fine. But then you're bringing other people back to NXT.
Maybe. I guess. I don't see no.
If you want them to be a brand, that's what you need to do. That's where Vince McMahon screwed everything up.
I don't see it as you needing to make it a brand. That's just me. I think that they're hitting every mark what they are right now.
Because they're treating it like a brand.
They're not. What
the bull? Jesus Christ. How are they not treating it like a brand? If it's not a brand, why the hell was Cena there? Why was The Undertaker there? Why was everybody there?
Because they're trying to get a home for NXT, and they were going up against AEW.
Because they made it
so they
brand.
wanted to shut up. They wanted to shut up AEW, and they wanted
to brand. Go ahead, say it. It's okay.
No,
it's okay to be wrong.
Let's keep it real. The fact of the matter is that they knew that they were going up against AEW, so they say, "Hey, this is a perfect time for us to beat AEW," because they had this run before where it was NXT versus AEW and NXT lost. Secondly, they don't have a home, so they have to keep. You've mentioned this on the show before, where you said, "Hey, they're pushing NXT because they need to find a home for NXT because USA already took over is going to take over SmackDown. They need a home. How are you going to sell something that only has 400,000 viewers? You're not.
But they haven't been having. God damn, it's so difficult for you to understand some comprehension.
I'm talking about before.
Let me write some numbers here. Let me get their numbers from the last 4 weeks.
He is up. I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with them bringing here a Becky Lynch here, a Dom Mysterio there. It doesn't necessarily mean, hey, all of a sudden we can't move Carmelo Hayes, we can't move Braun Breaker. If those guys are moved to SmackDown or Raw, what's wrong with that? Like, I'm fine with them moving over there too. Like,
you hurt your brand of.
You're not hurting your brand of your NXT.
Who the hell is replacing Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker?
Your next upcoming talent, Trick Williams, Dragunov, those guys are coming.
You're ready. You just keep pushing NXT out. That's why NXT.
Well, you could do what they're doing now, which is that they're bringing them back from time to time and be like, hey, look, welcome back Becky Lynch, welcome back Seth Rollins. Though, like, that is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have with them Becky Lynch being in NXT for a couple of shows, and then
Becky Lynch is up on Raw and SmackDown already. What are you're gonna bring Carmelo Hayes to do what? On Raw and SmackDown. What's he gonna do now up there?
Oh, they
can do a lot. Lost in the shuffle like you do all these damn people.
He is not gonna get lost in the shuffle. He's not gonna get in the shuffle. Dude, they've had Carmelo Hayes before in SmackDown, and he's wrestled on SmackDown. Does that mean that Carmelo Hayes is gonna get lost? So then everybody, okay, Rhea Ripley came from NXT. Did she get lost? Charlotte Flair came from NXT. Did she get lost? Bayley came from NXT. Did she get lost? They're all relevant.
Name all the big guys. Bronson Reed was fired.
I don't know why. He should have stayed.
Because he got lost when he went to NXT. Karrion Kross came up, got lost because they didn't know what to do with them.
That was
Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano,
they're still
Adam
there.
Cole. All those guys came up and got lost in the mix when they could have stayed at NXT, which Triple H wanted them to. But Big Daddy Vince was like, I've got plans for these small guys.
Well, wait, hold on a second. They also cut some of it because of the whole COVID situation. So they had to cut pay. And they were like, yo, we got to let go of some of these people. And they decided to let go of a couple people of NXT. They weren't going to let go of their bread and butter, who are the main superstars. Let's just keep it real. And that's why NXT, AEW, they
let go of a lot of stars during COVID too.
Who?
Braun Strowman. They let go of quite a few off the main roster.
They
brought back. They let the Hit Row go. That's when Swerve and them were let go.
Yeah, they let go of Swerve, they let go of Adam Cole, they let go of Roderick Strong, they let go of a lot of people. I get it. But at the same time, they had to cut budget because they were the whole COVID situation. They were losing money too. That's one of the reasons why they also had to cut people. And Vince said, hey, I'm going to cut some of the people from NXT. The majority of them
didn't have nothing to do with them because, again, he looked at it as a developmental territory. Whereas Triple H wanted it to be a black and gold brand.
I know. I guess. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead. I don't see why change what's going on. I like the fact that they're bringing people over, that they have like their Doms, their Becky Lynches. You know, you have some of those people there, stick around, make it relevant.
You have your AEW Dynamite, you have AEW Rampage, you have AEW Collision, right? And then Ring of Honor.
Yeah, but that's not being televised. It's on their app.
Mm-hmm. So why can't you have SmackDown, Raw, NXT?
What is going on? What do I criticize AEW about the last couple of weeks? I kept telling you that they should split the roster, and I told you that already. I told you that they split the roster because I felt like you have too many wrestlers going from Collision to Dynamite to Rampage. They were all over and over and over again. We spoke about this earlier today. I said, hey, you got to put some of these young bucks to start being in the pay-per-view. I'm not saying NXT split the roster like that. They're fine the way they are. If you have
their own roster right now, keep the roster there. This is what I'm arguing you about. Why move Carmelo Hayes?
Okay, but why not also move him either? There's nothing wrong with getting him moved, is what I'm trying to tell you. There's no harm. NXT is not going to lose viewership because Carmelo Hayes is gone. You have been able to develop Dragunov. You've been able to.
There was two guys that were in two very important segments. Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes were in the segments with John Cena and The Undertaker. The only two NXT stars to be in segments with each of those two guys. You don't think that's a rub?
They decided to go that route. They decided to give him. They decided to go ahead and make him the next person. Like they gave him the passing of the torch. Exactly. Hey, look, we're promoting.
Why not keep him there to be that person to lead NXT?
But why not also move him and create other feuds with other wrestlers? Who are they gonna go ahead and wrestle at NXT all the time? You're gonna have them wrestle right now with the roster that they have right now. Dragunov, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams. That's it. All the other guys that are there.
You got John Djokovic or whatever the hell his damn name.
Look at it. You don't even know his name. I don't know his name. I'm telling you, there's no harm or foul moving them. I'm not saying, hey, move them completely and get rid of them. And
you're gonna mess up the brand, bro.
You're not gonna mess up the brand. The brand has always been
okay. So listening to your AEW thing, okay? AEW Collision was CM Punk and all those guys. Let's go back to all that. FTR, CM Punk, Andrade, and all those, big people.
Okay.
All right. Now they start moving them around. What happens to Collision?
I'm not gonna use that same example. I don't think that's fair to use that example. You want to know why? Because the CM Punk was the reason why Collision was going up higher and higher.
And higher. Are you freaking kidding me, bro?
I know you don't like CM Punk, and I know you're hater in CM Punk. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you're a CH dump out there sometimes on the chat. I wouldn't be surprised you're the one who's actually created that.
That's my laptop.
So I'm to be honest with you. At the end of the day, CM Punk was building up that roster over there, and I have no problem with him until they got rid of him. And then when they got rid of him, what happened? And look, if you want me to be controversial or argue your argument, I mean, what were the numbers? The CM Punk numbers were not like extravagant. I'm going to keep it real. Yeah, they were averaging what, 500, 400,000, maybe somewhere around 300,000. You look at like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they hit that same mark and they're rotating the fighters around. My personal opinion is they should keep it split. They're not doing that. They're moving these guys around over and over, and they're still hitting the same freaking numbers. So again, I don't see any harm leaving NXT the way it is, a developmental league. You've brought in Braun Breaker, you brought in Carmelo Hayes, you built them up. Very good, amazing job. Trick Williams. What happens? Let's go ahead and move one of them over to the SmackDown world. What's wrong with that? It's not going to hurt the NXT brand because you still have the other people coming up. You still got the Trick Williams. You still got the Dragunov guy. You still got some of these guys that are actually now making a name for themselves. Okay, and let's say, for example, you leave Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker. What's wrong with moving up Trick Williams to Monday Night Raw? He could have a pop. Maybe he has a hit over there. And if he doesn't succeed,
what's wrong with trying to build NXT into a bigger thing? You can still have the developmental people being on the undercards and things like that. But what's the problem with trying to make them the superstars of NXT?
I think it'll hurt their developmental up and coming talent afterwards. So like the people behind them trying to make it up. That's my opinion. I think it's going to hurt them.
Do you understand how many people are right now at the PC Center?
I'm pretty sure a shit ton.
There's 100 people there right now.
I understand that, but
different areas of development and things like that. Like Triple H and Nick Khan both wanted to make NXT a third brand.
That's what they wanted.
I don't think you do that by moving guys that you're making the stars of the brand.
I don't see
because the reason I used CM Punk and those guys because they were considered to me the Collision guys, Miro, CM Punk, Andrade, FTR. Those were kind of your. If you move them off of Collision's completely different.
I agree with you in that. That's why you have SmackDown and Raw the same way different. SmackDown has their roster. Monday Night Raw has their roster. That's the same way I was looking Dynamite and Collision. I look at I don't consider Rampage a really good show. I mean, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. So that's why I don't consider Rampage a third show on there.
But see, that's also where, again, me thinking out of the box, your pay-per-views could be so much better if Carmelo Hayes is not a champion right now, right?
No.
So why couldn't he take on a SmackDown superstar at a pay-per-view? You don't have to move him off of NXT, but now you can go out there and put those dream matches on pay-per-view. Matches you won't see on SmackDown or NXT or Raw. Now you can bring it up to a pay-per-view and
you can't say that to me. You want to know why? Because you're the one who always complained about the AEW side, saying, "Hey, why is Claudio Castagnoli bringing his Ring of Honor belt?" Or
do
why?
You hear what you want to hear? I said he does not have a title right now, so why can't he go and show up on a pay-per-view and fight somebody else?
Because he's NXT brand.
The pay-per-views are not branded.
It doesn't matter. There's a split on the roster. There's a reason why you don't, because if then what is the point of the draft then? Then get rid of the draft and just have them all rotate at whatever they want then.
No, the draft switches people up. So then, yeah, you can get some people to go down.
Because if
Corbin went to NXT during the draft.
Exactly. But if you want, if the draft is to split the roster, right? That way it brings interest to
the roster to freshen it up a little bit.
Yes.
To give different matches.
Yeah, of course, because you only have certain fighters who are going to be in SmackDown, certain wrestlers are going to be in Raw, et cetera, et cetera. But now if I'm going to go ahead and grab Carmelo Hayes, who's in NXT, and just throw him in SmackDown just for be creative because it's a cool match on a pay-per-view, and he wins the SmackDown champion, he wins the Universal belt, let's say, just hypothetically. I'm
not saying he's going against Roman Reigns. I'm saying Ricochet versus Carmelo Hayes.
But that kind of defeats the purpose of the draft then. Doesn't it?
It's only on a pay-per-view. They're not fighting. He's not going to Raw.
I don't know. I think that defeats the purpose of the thing because what kind of feud are you? The only way you're going to create a feud between Ricochet and... So you want them to pull like
why can't we use the dream match, right? We do that a lot.
So then you want them to pull an AEW then? Just throw in random people to fight each other without any storylines?
For one match on the card, yeah. If you got the rest of them meaning something, yeah, why not? I'm saying the whole card needs to be that way.
I don't agree with that, but I mean, I get your point. I get your perspective. I
just think that you're like trying to be like, that'd be like being like, because again, when Tony bought Ring of Honor was supposed to be a developmental for AEW. We're gonna make that what NXT is for, and then you saw what happened. No, they sent all their guys over there, and you had Claudio as the heavyweight champion. You had FTR as the tag team champions. And
I mean, my bad for cutting you off.
No, go ahead.
I will say this. I do agree with what No Doubt is saying. I did think about that as well. And what he said is instead of not bringing people up to WWE, why not bring legacy people to NXT that don't want to travel and allow NXT to grow the way that while they're still using it to develop. I agree. Like, for example, if you want to make, I don't know, The Undertaker, who's not wrestling anymore, like a segment, like put him as like, I don't know, something in NXT, you're going to bring views. If, for example, Dominic Mysterio doesn't want to wrestle as much, doesn't want to travel, and he wants to stay in Florida, okay, then leave him in the NXT world. I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's the way, my mindset is the same way when it comes to the WWE, or I'm sorry, the NXT talent. If they want to move, because my goal is, hey, I want to become number one, whether that's in SmackDown or Raw. The number one will, in my opinion, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it could happen. Anything happens in wrestling, but you would never see a Roman Reigns in NXT as the number one guy. You will always see Roman Reigns either on SmackDown or Raw. So these guys, me as a wrestler, let's say I'm the wrestler. I'm Mr. Fresco coming out there and I want to be a wrestler. My goal, I don't care what brand it is, I want to be number one. And to this day, number ones are on SmackDown and Raw. So I want to get promoted to those shows. Now, if I want to stay in the NXT world and be the biggest star in NXT, that's fine too. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. I think that works as well. But me as a wrestler, me being who I want to be number one in the company. I gotta go after the big dog, and the big dog's on SmackDown. The big dog's on Raw, so I gotta go over there. I'm not gonna stay in NXT. That's the way I look at it as me myself. If I was the wrestler in NXT, I don't want to grow NXT. I already outshine NXT. I need to move on to the big roster because I don't see Roman Reigns. I don't see Seth Rollins. I don't see Cody Rhodes being on the NXT continuously. Cameos and stuff like that, I get you. But I don't see them continuously saying, hell, NXT has drafted Roman Reigns. I don't see that coming in the future. Could it happen? Yes, but I don't see that.
So then let me ask you this. Why can't Carmelo Hayes become the first Carmelo Hayes of NXT?
He could. He could.
And be what Roman Reigns is to SmackDown.
He could.
What Seth Rollins is to Raw. That's what I'm saying, though.
But he could.
They need to put the focus on that if that's what they want to do. If they want to keep it developmental, then do whatever you want to do. But then do away with keeping it on TV. Because the problem, the reason the ratings are going up right now is because you're treating it like a brand. You're not treating it like developmental. You're not saying tune into the next biggest stars. No, you're saying tune into the stars of today because you got Dominic going there. You got Becky going there. You've had Asuka going there. You've had all these people going there. So now you're treating it as an equal. You're saying this can be a brand. And now you're getting eyes on the product. If you do what Vince did and you take all that away, your numbers are going to plummet once again and then take it off of TV because it's useless. Put it on your channel on .com or Peacock like you had it before and let it stay there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that they are trying to go ahead and treat it as its own brand. I get you. I just feel that if you're gonna, they only did Becky and they did Dominic permanent, right? Those are the two. And Butch is another one from the SmackDown world who's over there. I think Rich Holland is the another one who's over there. And Corbin was
one. They're only over there for right now. Corbin's a part of it, and I think that's about it.
Okay, so
the other ones are going back and forth because now you're seeing the NXT title on Raw, the women's title. You're seeing the North American Championship on Raw as well.
Correct. So they are doing what you're saying that they're doing, that they want to make it a standout product. But right now, the way they're doing it is they need to get the talent from the SmackDown Raw roster and bring them over there in order for people to get and start watching it and know who the hell these guys are.
Seeing what those guys can do.
Of course.
There's no eyes on it. And if you treat it like a developmental, it's going to get developmental ratings because nobody wants to watch developmental. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but nobody wants to watch training.
Wait, but hold on a second. So I agree with the fact that you bring 2 or 3 wrestlers from the main roster and you bring them into NXT and you gain viewership and eyes on it. And yes, those developmental people are going to start tuning in. I am a prime example. I never watched NXT because you're right. It was developmental people. I agree with WWE bringing in Becky, bringing in Dom and all that stuff. Now I know who Trick Williams is. Now I know who Dragunov is. Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne. I didn't know those people. I knew Carmelo and Braun Breaker. Those were the only 2 that I knew on the NXT world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that just because if you move them out, if you bring them temporarily and you move those guys out, the people are going to stop watching the NXT show. That's not going to always happen. There's going to be you got people who are hardcore fans of Carmelo Hayes. There's hardcore people who have now started becoming Trick Williams.
That's your AEW audience, right? No matter what, AEW is always going to get that 600,000-700,000 all the time. All the time. NXT was getting 450, 500. Now they started doing this. Now they're up in 700-800. Again, yes, you're going to go back because those 400 are going to watch it. Is that good enough, though? Is that good enough? You're trying to sell this product on TV for a TV spot. That's what I'm trying to say is like you're trying to sell it as a TV spot, then it needs to be sold as a brand. This is what we can give you week in and week out. That guy's not going to disappear and go to the Raw roster, and then we got to try to find somebody to replace him. That's the part that I have the issue with. Yeah, you're always going to have your diehards that are going to watch NXT. Yeah, that's why they had the 400 to 500,000 every week, 350 to 500 every week. Those are your diehard NXT fans. They're going to watch it because it's on. You know what I'm saying? But then again, it goes back to, and again, the one thing with Warner Brothers, like, bro, listen, do you know what Collision did on last Saturday night? Do you know what the ratings were on Collision?
They were bad, right?
385.
Yeah, they were bad.
But you know what they were the number one watched non-live sports show on cable TV. With that rating, the only ones that beat them was the Major League Baseball playoffs and college football.
Yeah, sports.
Mm-hmm. So they're happy with it. That's what Warner Brothers wants. You to be the number one program on that night. So they're happy with that number.
They are. Yeah.
I don't know. So I just don't think that if you want that to be something you want people to continue go to, like Raw and SmackDown. And again, I'm not saying they're going to get Raw and SmackDown numbers. Never saying that. But if you want them to keep consistently at your 7, 8, touch 9 every once in a while, then you need to keep it at least somewhat regular so the people know what they're going to see.
I mean, but they kind of have done that. How long has Carmelo and Braun Breaker been in NXT? They've been there for a minute now.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, but my worry is, okay, they're ready. They are ready. They could go to Raw and SmackDown. I'm not gonna sit here and there's quite a few people there that could probably go to Raw and SmackDown that are
like Tiffany
right now. But do you do that when you're sitting here preaching about, we want to make that our third brand, as Triple H has said Nick Khan wanted to do? I think, again, you got to sit down and say, okay, because to me, look, you've done it once. You said you're going to make it a brand. You pulled the plug on it. If you do it again and you pull the plug on it, it's done. It stays as, and I'm saying it stays as a developmental. It doesn't stay as a third brand. You're done with the third brand.
I get that. My perspective on the situation is what you're saying. I don't think there's no harm or there's nothing wrong with them being a developmental, as long as they keep putting these like roster wrestlers like from Monday night, like a Becky or Dominic, into that whole NXT world and bringing them in there, because you are bringing eyes. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think just because they have the name of developmental, it doesn't mean that they're not their own brand. They already are their own brand, because NXT has something already in place. You have people who are coming up. People are going to tune in. People are going to look at it. Maybe not as much, but they're doing it right by bringing in Becky Lynch, bringing Seth Rollins, bringing in these people. That way more people could actually look into it. If I look at something, I'll give you an example. The Colorado Buffalo football team, right? Who watches them before Deion Sanders came? Nobody. Obviously, they sucked. I'm not going to lie. But nobody watched them. You brought in Deion Sanders, and now all of a sudden, there's a huge talk. Even after they've lost multiple times, there's this huge talk about, hey, Deion Sanders, Buffalo. Cool. He's there now. There's something to bring an attention to it. Same thing that they're doing in NXT. They're bringing in somebody big from the Raw roster, bring him over there. That way you could start looking at it. And then what happens? Hey, who is this Trick Williams guy? Oh, he's not bad. Cool. Let me tune into it. Hey, who is this other person? Oh, cool. No problem. Just because they leave doesn't necessarily mean that NXT is going to.
Well, then using your thing there, if Deion leaves Colorado, they have as much buzz?
Probably. You mother. Why? I mean, if they're good, yeah, they'll still have that.
Whoa! Look at that one. On.
They'll still have.
Love of that softball, baby. Love of that softball.
They'll still have that buzz if they're any good. If they're any good.
Yeah,
if they're not good, then yeah.
All right, so we've been going for a while, man. Anything else you want to get to real quick before?
No, you got me on that one. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Chad, Jim, no doubt. Carlos V, Corn Iowa Productions. Nicholas Gomenares. Appreciate you as always, Nick. Big Nick, South Florida Accountability. Man, got accountability on our show right now, buddy.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. I like it. Karen Joseph, Mr. AEW as well.
Mrs. AEW.
Mrs. Same thing. What else we got here? Threw me off there. Carlos V. Josh,
Chad.
appreciate you.
Your dad.
Terry, my dad, Steven Gonzalez, Daniel Marquez, and Steven Gonzalez. I said that earlier. Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights. So we thank you all. And performers of the week for me, AEW and WWE for Tuesday night. That was fantastic. Thank you. A lot of stuff we can pick out, and me and Mr. AEW here will go argue till we turn blue in the face, or I'll turn red and probably have a heart attack here in a little bit because I'm so fat. But hey, remember, Frankie, you killed me, okay? Your dumb takes killed me.
Performer of the week, Sean, because he always acts like he's gonna have a heart attack, but he's just being Sean.
That's the way it is. I'm gonna start looking like CM Punk.
Or Moxley. You're gonna cut yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like Moxley on the show. Like,
that's what I'm gonna do. I gotta get the sympathy of the chat. I'm gonna start cutting myself when Sean starts having these like tantrums. I'm gonna be like, oh, he just cut me off. I'm bleeding now.
He's beating me down. Well, we thank you all for being on the show, and don't forget to follow me at Sean_Stanley11 on all social media outlets, and Sports Talk with Sean Stanley on YouTube. Sean Sports Takes will start coming out soon, and also Wrestling Takes. Ratings will go up with blood. All right, that's it.
Really? If that's the case, no doubt, I need to start cutting myself. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Sean might do it right now. Guys, follow me at Fresco Music, FREZKO. Remember to hit that like. Remember to subscribe. Remember to also hashtag Squared Circle Digest Live. Guys, it's all fun and games when it comes to the wrestling world. We argue. We have both of our opinions. Remember, he's the wrestler. I'm the fan. Sometimes he might win. Sometimes I might win. Well. We both like to debate a lot. And this is on camera. Imagine when we're off camera, we still debate a lot too. So it's like.
Matter of fact, October 28th, man, you might have a trip to Port St. Lucie.
Oh, another thing, guys, Royal Rumble. So if you guys if you're in the state of Florida, if you're thinking about Royal Rumble next week, next Friday, Royal Rumble tickets go on sale. I will do my best to try to go to Royal Rumble. I did block those dates from my calendar, so hopefully I could get some tickets. Hopefully, Sean, we could go.
Yes.
Hopefully we can make it happen, man. I know, and if you guys are diehards just like we are, and you guys want to link up, if you guys are going to Royal Rumble or any other show, let us know. Like, I would be hell of a time.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a live show out there somewhere. We're going to have to find a Duffy's or something. And I don't know what they have in Tampa, but
yeah, man.
Let's find somewhere we can set up and do a Squared Circle Digest live.
Yeah, not only that, but also get to know some of you guys. Like, I know Josh, no doubt. I would love to meet you guys live.
I mean, more people too,
in person. Yeah, absolutely. Bring wrestling fans. Everybody, anybody.
Nationwide, Sunday.
Yeah, man. And then remember, guys, we haven't brought it up, but looks like Sean doesn't want to bowl me because last time I told him I was going to beat him in bowling, but
no, this is what we're going to do. This week we're going to put stuff together. Next week we're going to do a bowl-a-thon for Squared Circle Digest. We'll figure out where, when, how, and we'll get it lined up. And I'm going to smoke them. You might have smoked